Well, hi everybody and welcome back to Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. And I'm sitting between potatoes, zucchini, and crookneck squash. And I just gave them a haircut. I pruned them. Have you ever pruned your zucchini or any of your squashes that are bush type? Like my crookneck is basically a bush type. And the reason why I do that is really threefold. One, airflow. It's a lot of air. Two, because of the airflow and I'm unable to water too much, I don't get powdery mildew. Thirdly, the bees can find those flowers so easily. Now most squashes, zucchinis, the flowers open up in the morning and by afternoon they're already closed, and that's the case right now. In fact, I'll pick one. This is already finished. In fact, whoops. In fact, that won't open again. And so I can actually use this for pollinating. And what I do is I put it in the refrigerator, wait for a female flower to open, and I just pull back all of those petals. And then I can literally hand pollinate. So if you're not getting squashes and zucchinis at the rate that you think you should be, and you've already pruned, you can hand pollinate. And you just keep these in the refrigerator until you're ready. It works perfect. So remember, three things, because both squashes and zucchinis really can get powdery mildew. But the reason why you usually get that is that you water the big humongous plant. It's not evaporating enough because it's so shaded. There's not enough airflow to dry it out. And so a lot of times these leaves stay wet. The stems stay wet. Right at the ground level stays wet. And you get powdery mildew. So I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to take you over to the community garden and show you how I did it over there this morning, because two of the gardeners wanted to see me do it, and I was planning on doing it anyway. And we talked about why we do it, what's the benefits, and it takes so little time to do it. You get more produce. Now some people say, oh, I always have too many zucchinis anyway. But look at your local food banks. Look at people at work, your neighbors, friends. And I mean, there's always a joke that when it's zucchini season, people put zucchinis on your door and run. But there's a lot of times at farmers markets that people are looking for zucchinis. Now, a little fact about zucchinis. Zucchinis are actually three vegetables in one. When they're less than 8 inches, they are a courgette. When they're 8 to 18 inches, they are a zucchini. If they're over 18 inches, they are a marrow. Just a little fact. So if you hear somebody around you saying, I'm growing courgettes, well, they're growing zucchinis that are less than 8 inches. If you hear somebody that's growing a marrow for the biggest marrow competition, it's a zucchini that's gone over 18 inches. And I have seen them literally about 2.5 feet long and about this big around. Now they're not good for eating, I don't think, but they are great at the fair. So let's go see how I gave these a haircut. One of the other reasons why I gave it, right behind me are my cucumbers growing up tomato cages. And these were so bushy, they were covering the sunlight. Now these particular ones, there's an umbrella right up here because it shades my beehive and it gives it shade in the afternoon. So it's perfect, and I didn't have to worry about cutting them this afternoon and the sun beating down on them. So let's go see. So this is my first zucchini of the season. I picked it last night. Very exciting. And so this is in my backyard. There is a big zucchini plant and a big crookneck right next to each other, and behind them are actually cucumbers growing, but the zucchini and the squash are too big and they're literally shading out my cucumbers. Now there's a lot of flowers on there, so I'm happy about that. And there's always male and female flowers, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But I need to prune these now. They are getting way too big, and I don't want any powdery mildew, and I want good production. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a sharp pruner. You could use a knife, a scalpel, anything that you're comfortable with. And what I'm looking for, I want to see the flowers. I want to be careful when I cut, but I want to see if there's any damaged leaves first. And so I'm just kind of looking around, seeing what I can find, following that stem back to the base, and because I want to get it as close to the base as possible. But see, that's a bent one. That's doing nothing for the plant. And so I'm going to just throw that, and those are all going to go in the compost pile. And I'm going to get all these ones in the back that are shading over top of my cucumber plants. And so we're just going to fast forward, and I'm going to go through and just thin that out, giving it a haircut, pruning it away. Now, I know you might think, oh my gosh, she is pruning it too much, but I'm not. They are fast growing, they recuperate fast, but I want good airflow. Now, this is a male flower. You can see how skinny that stem is. And I'm going to look around and see if I can find some female flowers so that you can see the difference. Males always are just very thin. You can actually eat those male flowers. You can put batter on them and fry them up. Now, there is a female flower. See how much thicker it is? Let's see if we can find some more. There's another one. And those flowers aren't quite ready to open up. They probably won't be open tomorrow. So I may have to just take one of my male flowers and put it in the refrigerator if I'm seeing that I'm not getting good pollination. But I'll watch it each morning because now it's really easy to see the flowers. And if I have too many males, I'm just going to put them in salads, or I'm going to put a batter on them and fry them and eat them. Now this is my crookneck, and I'm going to step in there and I'm going to do the same thing. I am going to just literally start giving it a haircut. I'm pruning it. It's way too far into the potatoes, the potato bucket, and way too far into the cucumbers on the other side. So any dead leaves, any broken leaves, anything that's overlapping, I am going to prune it. And it is not hurting the plant. In fact, it is better for it. But see how already you can see the cucumbers much more. And that was one of my goals, because I want not only good squash and pumpkin or zucchini production, I want a lot of cucumbers. And so by pulling them back, now this is the crookneck, and you can really see how the flowers and the leaves come right off of that base. And that's why you can prune all of the lower branches. You can really see the production on where it's going, and everything comes from the center. And that's really interesting to me, but it makes it very easy to prune. Here are the cucumbers. And now you can really see them. By tomorrow, they are just going to love that sunshine. Now, they already have a lot of flowers, but I have a special project that I'm doing with the cucumbers, so I really want to be able to show you that in a video, and so I'm excited about all those flowers. And now with all that light, it will just be so much better. You can see a lot of flowers now. There's still leaves, but there's a lot of airflow. I won't have powdery mildew. And the same with the crookneck squash. You'll be surprised in a week's time how many more leaves I have again. It's just amazing. Now, that is a really good example of a female flower. And then the male flower. I will watch each morning to see when they're opening to make sure I have the most production. Now, here's over at the community garden. And I had 2 zucchinis and 1 squash, and it's early, so a lot of the flowers are open, but you could not even see a flower before I pruned this. And now you can see a few little zucchinis. You can see the flowers. There's a lot of sunlight. There's airflow. There'll be good evaporation when I water, so it's not having the roots soaked. Well, I hope today, or this weekend when you have a little bit of time, you prune your squash and your zucchinis. Now, my regular pumpkins, I am going to prune some of those leaves, and I'll show you when I do that, but they're not quite ready to get pruned yet. As always, like, subscribe, share with the world, and have a fabulous day.